Hi, cheers and happy new year. Hello, Davey. How are you?
Good, Captain.
Hi. Our gunner, Hellfire, will not be with us this evening. He had his dates and times mixed up, and he's still enjoying some holiday out of town time. And our good cartographer, Mandy Joe, is working on a project. And I never hold her to anything here that's too difficult because there's a 2 hour time difference between her and us. So cheers to each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in. If you're tuning in, I see a couple of people. It looks like it might be just us and Zachary Harker tonight. Who knows? But we'll see what happens. Cheers to everyone. Upon that note, how do you get in touch with us? How do you find us? YouTube. That's it. There's the QR code, ladies and gentlemen. We want you to use that QR code, like us, follow us, subscribe to us, be a part of what we do. Support us in every way possible. This is our 115th episode, ladies and gentlemen. I see Nightingale in Florida just popped on board. Very good. And our biggest sponsor, my main sponsor right now, is always the St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum. I shouldn't do that. The camera gives me 15 more pounds and crossing my arms makes me look even bigger. Stop doing that. Aye. The St. Augustine Pirate and Treasure Museum, ladies and gentlemen. It is the largest pirate museum in the world, 850 artifacts, and it is a wonderful trip through the golden age of piracy. Come join us, if you will. Captain Mayhem will be there on most weekends in the new year. On that, we do 8 Bells. 8 Bells is sponsored by our good friends, the Rikers of the Riker Reenactment family. They do a lot of work with the Spanish reenactment, the British reenactment, and of course the St. Augustine Swashbucklers. It's always good to have them aboard to be sponsors, and they're our major sponsor for 8 Bells. And upon that note, Davey, you told me earlier we have 8 tonight, so let's see what we have. Laura Lynch. The Chicks were founded in 1989 as the Dixie Chicks by Laura Lynch, an upright bass, Robin Lynn Macy on guitar, and the multi-instrumentalist sisters Marty and Emily Irwin. Dixie Chicks achieved success with their albums Wide Open Spaces and Fly. After Monument closed its Nashville branch, the Dixie Chicks moved to Columbia Records for Home in 2002. She was 65 years old. Richard Diran Bowes was an American author of science fiction and fantasy. He launched his spectacular fiction writing career in the early 1980s and published novels War Child, Feral Cell, Goblin Market, One Story, Streetcar Dreams, won the World Fantasy Award for Best Novella in 1998. The novel itself won the Lambda Literary Award in 2000. If Angels Fight won the novel in 2009 World Fantasy Award, and he was 79 years old. Henry George Sandon, MBE, was an English antiques expert, television personality, author, and lecturer who specialized in ceramics and was a notable authority on Royal Worcester porcelain. He was the curator of the Dyson Perrins Museum for many years. In 2000, he was voted Antiques Personality of the Year by the readers of the BBC's Home and Antiques magazine. He was appointed member of the Order of the British Empire in 2008, Queen's birthday honors for his service to broadcasting, the ceramics industry, and to charity. He was 95 years old. Tommy Bolin Smothers III, I saw this the other day and was very sad, was an American comedian, actor, composer, and musician, best known as half of the musical comedy duo The Smothers Brothers, alongside his youngest brother, Dick. Tom Smothers negotiated creative control over their next CBS show, a variety show entitled The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour in 1967. He was 86. Before you switch there, Davey, I had the privilege of meeting Tommy Smothers at a Big Boys toy show in Tucson, Arizona. And he watched one of my magic shows for that day, and we had a chance to talk. And he was still playing with the yo-yos because he was known as one of the yo-yo kings. I have his words in some of my literature now. He was a fine, upstanding gentleman for me to talk to, and it was a thrill to have at least met him that one time. You may switch now, David. Bobby Rivers, American television, radio personality, and actor. Rivers was the host of the now defunct Top 5 show on Food Network and watched Bobby Rivers, a primetime celebrity talk show on VH1. Rivers hosted 2 short-lived syndicated game shows, one called Bedroom Buddies. In 1992, he was approached to be the lifestyles and entertainment reporter on local WNBC TV Weekend Today in New York and WNYW TV Good Day New York. For the latter, he was hired as a replacement for Australian personality Gordon Elliott, who had left. He was 70 years old. Edward Leon Budd was an American football guard. He played his entire career for the Kansas City Chiefs in the American Football League, AFL, and the National Football League, NFL. Budd was named a member of the all-time All-AFL team first team in 1970. He retired after the 76th season and was inducted into the Chiefs Hall of Honor in 84. He was 83 years old. William Caleb Cale Yarborough was an American NASCAR Winston Cup Series driver and owner, businessman, farmer, and rancher. He is one of only 2 drivers in NASCAR history to win 3 consecutive championships, 76, 77, and 78. He was one of the preeminent stock car drivers from the 60s to the 80s and also competed in the IndyCar events. His fame was such that a special model of the Mercury Cyclone spoiler was named after him. He was 84 years old. Shecky Green, oh my goodness. Shecky Green was an American comedian. He is known for his nightclub performances in Las Vegas, Nevada, where he became a headliner in the 50s and 60s. He appeared in several films, including Tony Rome, History of the World Part 1, and Splash. In television, he guest starred on such shows as Love American Style and Combat, and later Laverne and Shirley and Mad About You. He also was in many of the Dean Martin celebrity roasts. And if I know my trivia right, he was the voice of the Anteater in the Pink Panther cartoon series. He was 97 years old. And that's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. 8 this week that we celebrate or honor, as we would more prefer to say, honor the passing of these fine people in all walks of life. Raise your mug. 8 bells. Very good. Before we go too much further, I do see that Scarlett Deerheart is on board. Congratulations on your impending nuptials. I see that you have now been granted a ring by that fine gentleman that you've been around for so long now, and we are happy for you. And please keep us in the loop on what is happening. We would love to know how things go. Upon that note, ladies and gentlemen, Joke of the Week with Mini Mayhem, sponsored by Salt City Comics, our good friend out in Utah who's done some great cartooning of all of our characters, and we will be using them quite often now. So, ladies and gentlemen, Joke of the Week with Mini Mayhem.
Ahoy, mates! Mini Mayhem here with Joke of the Week, sponsored by Salt City Comics. What is a pirate's favorite detergent? Think about it, and I'll give you the answer at the end of the show.
Wow. I don't know that one. We'll find out. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, we also do Quote of the Week, which is brought to us by Spyglass Travel, a walking tour of St. Augustine's historic districts. If you want a good walking tour and some good exercise, well, you need to see our friends over there at Spyglass Travel. And they are my biggest sponsors for Quote of the Week. What do we have, Mr. Davey? Be at war with your vices, at peace with your neighbors, and let every new year find you a better man. Benjamin Franklin. Boy, the peace with your neighbors bit could be really said after all the rides I did through St. Augustine and the traffic debacle that we have in St. Augustine at this time of year. A lot of people were not very friendly. The spirit of Christmas was not there. Good one, Davey. Spyglass Travel, presenting Benjamin Franklin's Be at War with Your Vices, at Peace with Your Neighbors, and let every new year find you a better man. Very good. Which actually brings us, because I didn't put it in the thing, it brings us to our question of the week, which I forgot to put in. Sponsored by Ancient City Sirens. Miss Gina and all her girls that come and dance all around for the different events we do. Why, we can't do some of the events without those lovely ladies. So, Ancient City Sirens. Very simple question. Resolutions. Yes, no, or maybe. We'll find out when we get to some of the other questions down the road. Yes, no, or maybe. I haven't made any this year. In fact, I haven't even done my normal New Year's greeting to everybody across social media. I normally write something and I haven't done it. I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I am flat wore out. As of last night, I have done 106 cart rides through the city of St. Augustine since the 19th of November, and I'm now scheduled to do another 36 to 40. It's been a very busy holiday time. On top of that, we have some illnesses in our family, and that takes up some time too. We hope that everybody, in my Christmas and New Year's wish to you, we hope that many of you that have been suffering from illnesses will finally hurry and get better and get rested. I know a few people that are watching the show now, they've been ill for several weeks. I hope that you will get past the colds, the flus, the sniffles, and everything else that comes about. It's not easy, especially with all these people around. But on New Year's resolutions, we'll find out. I already see a big note right there. I couldn't agree with you more. This week in nautical history, ladies and gentlemen, is brought to us by Florida Water Tours. Now, you may be noticing that we're doing some juggling around to the format of our show. We sat down last week and started thinking about how we could change a few things to make things different. And we have made one of those changes now. This week in nautical history will come up before a couple of other things. And it's sponsored by Florida Water Tours. The St. Augustine Swashbucklers have taken 2 rides on their trip, on their boats, out on the Matanzas Bay. And starting in February, the St. Augustine Swashbucklers will be helping out a little bit by sponsoring a trip on the water, an educational trip on the water for children at least once a month. It'll be something very simple and very easy. And, well, come join us. It'll be a lot of fun. On that note, Davey, go ahead with This Week in Nautical History.
Welcome to This Week in Nautical History, sponsored by our friends at Florida Water Tours. Experience the intercoastal waterway at its finest, featuring picture-perfect attractions. We begin This Week in Nautical History in the year 1502. Portuguese expedition under Pedro Alvares Cabral are first Europeans to discover Bay of Guanabara, naming it Rio de Janeiro, after mistaking it for a river entrance. 1656, Spanish galleon Nuestra Señora de las Maravillas, laden with gold and jewelry bound for Spain, sinks off the coast of the Bahamas. Only 45 of 650 people survive, most eaten by sharks. 1879, British battleship Thunder explodes in Gulf of Ismid. 9 die. 1854, the McDonald Islands are discovered by Captain William McDonald aboard the Samarang. And also in 1854, steamship San Francisco wrecked off the U.S. eastern seaboard. 300 die. 1859, first steamboat, the North Star, sails up northern Red River, America. 1945, Allies land on west coast of Burma, conqueror Akib. And finally, in 1953, passenger ships William Rose and orange collide in the Red Sea. And that was this week in nautical history.
Very good, Davey. Very good. So, McDonald Island, is that where those mysterious McRibs come from? Because as we all know, it can't be real meat, right? All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, looking at our schedule, crew adventures on the horizon or crew events coming up. At this point right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is a time for rest and relaxation. But the St. Augustine Swashbucklers Old City Pirate Festival is scheduled for the first weekend in February. That is about 37, 38 days away, 34 days away. So be watching. Some of the things that I normally would be doing to keep it on track, I have just not been able to keep up with. But I will be working my tail feathers off over the next couple of days to get it all caught back up and on track and ready to go. So ladies and gentlemen, yes, Old City Pirate Festival, February, the first weekend, 2024. I have a lot of emails backing up, people asking to be sponsors and entertainers and vendors. And so it's time for me to weed through all that and get it all out there. And I bet you I'll have some wonderful news to tell everybody by next show, which will be a week from now. So, ladies and gentlemen, never fear. For the rest of it, the Swashbucklers are taking a break. They'll have their main membership meeting this next Saturday. And if there's anybody out there that would like to join our crew, you are more than welcome to come meet the crew and find out what we're all about. And then the crew will vote on you a month or two down the road. But come on out and join us. We'd love to have you. No other crew adventures to talk about. So now we're going to talk about, with no guests tonight, we're going to talk about, well, New Year's resolutions. I actually did a little bit of research here and found out there were some interesting things to talk about on New Year's resolutions. For example, did you know that it's possible that New Year's resolutions were started by the ancient Babylonians 4,000 years ago? They were also the first to hold recorded celebrations in honor of the new year, though for them the year began not in January but in March, when the crops were planted during a massive 12-day religious festival known as the Kitu. The Babylonians crowned the new king or reaffirmed their loyalty to the reigning king. They also made promises to the gods and paid their debts and return any objects they had borrowed. No, I don't think I have anything I borrowed from anybody. But if I have, you may send me a message and I'll try to make sure it gets back to you. These promises could be considered the forerunners for our New Year's resolution. If the Babylonians kept to their word, their pagan gods would bestow favor upon them for the coming year. If not, they would fall out of their God's favor and a place no one wanted to be. Some other things that came up in my listenings here. The similar practice occurred in ancient Rome after the reform-minded Emperor Julius Caesar tinkered with the calendar and established January 1st as the beginning of the new year, around 46 BC. Named for Janus, the two-faced god whose spirit inhabited doorways and arches, January had special significance for the Romans, believing that Janus symbolically looked backwards to the previous year and ahead to the future. The Romans offered sacrifices to the deity and made promises of good conduct for the coming year. Early Christians, the first day of the new year, became the traditional occasion for thinking about one's past mistakes and resolving to do and be better in the future. In 1740, the English clergyman John Wesley, founder of the Methodism movement, created the Covenant Renewal Service, most commonly held on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, also known as Watch Night services. They included readings from the scriptures, hymn singing, and served as a spiritual alternative to the raucous celebrations normally held to celebrate the coming in of the new year. That now being popular even in evangelical Protestant churches, especially African American denominations and congregations, watch night services held on New Year's Eve are often spent praying and making resolutions for the coming year. Despite the traditions religious roots, New Year's resolutions today are mostly secular practice. Instead of making promises to the gods, most people make promises to themselves and focus purely on self-improvement, self-awareness, and self-motivation, which may explain why such resolutions seem to be so hard to follow through. According to recent research, while as many as 45% of Americans say they usually make New Year's resolutions, only 8% are successful in achieving their goal. But that dismal record probably won't stop people from making resolutions anytime soon. After all, we've had 4,000 years of practice. And I would like to give credit to the History channel, the History website, for what we got there for our information. Which brings us to our messages, our people in the gallery. Let's see if anybody has actually made any comments. I'm going back to the top to see what we have, Davey. I like what Nightingale said. Before I make any resolutions, I need to make a resolution to stick to them. That's a vicious circle, I'm sure. And Zachary Harker has a sinus infection. I'm very sorry for that. I give up on revolutions. They never work for me. That's said by my good woman of my life, Kara Creamer. Let's see. What else do we have? Grace is on board. Nice to see you, Grace. Leon is there. He is the quartermaster to the St. Augustine Swashbucklers. He said, hey. Congratulations to Scarlett from everyone. Oh, Nightingale says that joke is an easy one. And I see Will the Historian is on board, and he says no. I would guess that no to resolutions. Here's how I look at resolutions now. Maybe you'll share the same thought. Shouldn't we make attempts to better ourselves every day of the year moving forward, and just picking one day to do it? I don't think it really works. So I just was reading a message that popped over here. Somebody sent me a message while the show is on. Other than that, I don't see a whole lot of comments about resolutions. So as we always say, the show tonight was just to be a relaxed show. We also want to tell you some good news. Davey, we're how many hours away from actually making it to full monetization?
100 hours.
100 hours, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached the point where YouTube is going to monetize us and give us opportunities. Now, we were hoping that Mandy would be here and help us explain some of the things, because she's much more in the know about how these things work. I am just the pretty face on the screen. Davey, do you have anything you want to throw out to everybody on the things that they can look forward to for 2024?
Not really. I'm still trying to understand all this. I mean, I'm very tech savvy, but this whole realm is really Mandy's.
So the way I understand it, ladies and gentlemen, part of the monetization is that while you're watching the show, there will be a monetary counter that you may make donations during the show, and it should pop up and you'll get credit. We also will have special emojis that if you have access to the emojis that you can put in the comment section. Why is the rum gone, or whatever other emojis we come up with. We can make our own, and you'll be able to do that. We'll be able to sell memberships, and the memberships are going to entitle people to be a part of our after shows. Basically, an after show will be on a Monday night, or it could be scheduled for any other night for that matter. That would be a late night show where the cameras are repositioned on my pirate room, and it might be myself and some guests just sitting around the table and shooting the bull about any subject we decide we want to shoot. And you, as a special guest, as a member of our podcast, will be entitled to be a part of it, and you will be in the show. We will be allowed to have at least 10 people on the screen with us to be included in the conversation. So you can ask questions and make comments, but we get to see you as you do it. So you will be part of the show. I believe we can bring in up to 10. Is that right, Davey?
Yes, we could have like 15 or so. Some will be in the green room, and I can just rotate people in and out.
So we can have up to 15 people. If we have a few more, you might be in the green room, and then we rotate you in or out. And this will be a show that we can just sit and have a good time with. That's right. As Leon says, you can come and drink the captain's rum. I'll be all right with that, because with more rum will be more conversation, as I've proven before. Zachary Harker, I try to make resolutions that are achievable. That's a good point. I think I'm going to make a resolution to have a shot of rum tonight. And I'm doing it. Very good. So resolutions go hand in hand with the new year. And now you know why the rum is always gone. Thank you, Davey. Thank you very much. All right. So, anybody have any comments at all they would like to make? We're hoping to make this the banner year for our start tonight's 115th episode. So we've been at it for two solid years now, ladies and gentlemen, and it's just looking better and better and better. So we hope that you will be a part of what we do. Join us. Become a member. We are working on some other ideas too, and I'll put Leon on the spot. Leon, he's a leather worker, and we want to work with him and have maybe some quick, small how-to lectures on certain things about making something easy out of leather. If you're interested, I plan on doing a couple of how-to magic tricks. Who knows? If you have suggestions and ideas, we'd love to have them. They will be extra shows that only members get to see. And it's just opening the door with all the things that YouTube keeps sending us. We're just astounded with all the things that we can do in the directions we can go. And in fact, Davey was just finding out today, we may actually be allowed to have a store and sell podcast merchandise. And some of those podcast merchandises might actually be, Davey, do you have your mug? Can you show it? The shine on it. There it is. The Captain's Quarters podcast logo is on that silver mug. And we might be able to have some of those available if you want a nice mug to drink your rum and or your ale out of. So we're looking at everything and anything we can do. Zachary says, I do know one of mine for this year is for my crew to really dig deep into history and educational material. That's a good one, Zachary. I think that's a really good one. We are looking at putting a educational slant to Old City Pirate Festival in February. I know that there is a reenactment group up in the Carolinas that wants to come down. There's another one up in Virginia that wants to come down. I am still working on the details with that. Leon, since you're there, I'll just let you know that Billy Tria is really, really hard to get looped into any kind of a conversation. I can tell you that. So that's been one of my delays over the past 4 weeks. But we're working on the educational side of it. Games, vendors, and some really fantastic entertainment coming in. We'll be letting you all know about that starting next Monday. On that note, Davey, why don't you go ahead and play This Week in History? Sponsored by our good friends at Dick's Wings.
Welcome to This Week in History. Sponsored by our good friends at Dick's Wings Bar and Grill. Wings, salads, wraps, quesadillas, and more. No matter what your taste buds crave, they've got you covered. We begin This Week in History in the year 1724. Glass blower Daniel Gabriel Fahrenheit proposes system for making thermometers and the Fahrenheit temperature scale in a paper to the Royal Society of London and is elected a fellow on its basis. 1772. First traveler checks go on sale in London, can be used in 90 European cities. 1776. George Washington's army hoists the Grand Union flag at Prospect Hill, Charleston. 1781, 1,500 soldiers of the 6th Pennsylvania Regiment under General Anthony Wayne's command rebel against the Continental Army's winter camp in Morristown, New Jersey, as part of the Pennsylvania Continental's Regiment Mutiny of 1781. 1836, Davey Crockett arrives in Nacogdoches, Texas, to aid the revolution. 1847, Samuel Colt sells his first revolver pistol to the United States government. 1888, first wax drinking straw patented by Marvin C. Stone in Washington, D.C. 1903, President Theodore Roosevelt and Edith Roosevelt unveil new renovations to the White House, including a new West Wing. 1905, 9-hour workday for diamond miners. 1906, Willis Carrier receives a U.S. patent for the world's first air conditioner. 1917, T.E. Lawrence joins the forces of the Arabian Sheikh Faisal al-Hassan, beginning his adventures that will lead him to Damascus by October 1918. 1935, first Orange Bowl. Bucknell beats Miami, Florida, 26-0. 1939, Hewlett-Packard is founded by Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard in a garage in Palo Alto, California, the birthplace of Silicon Valley. 1949, U.S. President Harry Truman labels his administration the Fair Deal. And in 1973, Schoolhouse Rock premieres on ABC TV with Multiplication Rock. 1974, 55 miles per hour speed limit imposed by Richard Nixon. 1994, U.S. Female Figure Skating Championship won by Tanya Harding. And finally, in 2016, Star Wars: The Force Awakens breaks North American box office record, passing the $760.5 million taken by Avatar. And that was this week in history.
Oh, very good, Davey. Very good. That's Nacogdoches, by the way.
Okay. I'm usually pretty good at the pronunciation.
You've done very well with all of them, Davey. There's some of them when I'm reading them, I'm going, I wonder what he's going to do with that one. And you do it right every time. But that one there is Nacogdoches. So here's a resolution for me. Doing some research on medical practices that seafaring crews, including pirates, did for medical care. Well, that would be an interesting one. That would be very interesting. I'd like to do a simple leatherworking tutorial as a fill-in show, a pouch or a simple baldric. I would love that. We could do that too. We're looking to create a few fill-ins in case we do have to have a recorded show or a pre-recorded show, like we did for December. Davey did a great job with our December Christmas show because we did not think we would have anybody watching because Christmas. We're surprised that we have people watching tonight. And thank you very much for being such great supporters of the show to watch on this first day of the new year. But yes, a simple leather video out of your shop. We have the cameras to go do it and the new microphones and everything that goes with it. And we'd love to do that. There's no end to what we can do. And we're totally open to suggestions by anybody. So if you got an idea, send it. Love to see one about making a bald rip. I like that one. Very good. Anything else, Davey? Let's see. A Facebook user said they're watching. Ladies and gentlemen, I do have to remind you, if you're watching from Facebook, in many cases, if you're watching from Facebook, it just says Facebook user, so we're not sure who it might be.
Yeah, so, right now, Leon and John Boyd are watching.
Very good.
On Facebook.
Very good. Good job. So we have a new section, and we're ill-prepared, as we are for most everything this week. but it's a new section of the show, and it will come right about this time in the show. It is, I'm bringing up my thing to, there it is. I'm going to need more screens, Davey.
Mhm.
So at this point in time, after this week in history, if we've had any discussion about some of the things that are in there, we're going to do a mail call or Captain's Corner. It will be called in the future. And any mail we get, including emails that are positive or questionable or whatever else that we have, we're going to do the Captain's Corner. It will be sponsored by our good friends at Marco's Pizza. Now, I haven't had a chance to go over and talk to them at all since Halloween because November and December have been just so busy. But I'm hoping to get them involved in some way, shape, or form for Old City Pirate Festival. But upon that note, Captain's Corner may also be something else. If you'll remember when we had the sheriff on, I did a little read about, tongue-in-cheek, so to speak, about traffic issues in downtown St. Augustine. And I thought maybe I would use that one again just to give us all a little bit of a chuckle, because driving those carts downtown amongst the lights, I've seen some of the most ridiculous things done by people. So what I'd like to do is read this to you. Let's see if I can put it up here where it'll be a little bit bigger. Right there. Very good. Cross that down. Wait a minute. All right. So let's see if this works. So while doing Santa rides, it was a total experience in the witnessing of stupidity. Man, I can't even speak tonight. And believe it or not, this is apple juice. It's not rum. Total experience in the witnessing of stupidity and selfish people when it comes to traffic in St. Augustine. And the last 2 weekends have been terrible. First off, let's just say that our little town is just not set up for this total chaos. And that is something our community leaders better start paying attention to ASAP. But that will be another post. So through observations, I share some thoughts, some things people need to think about or just stop doing. 1, the ability to read traffic signs, including speed limit signs, is important. If it says right or on a red or even left, yes, there are left on red, utilize that option. Don't just sit there and stare at everything. Also, speed limits are not suggestions. The ability to read or the lack of says volumes nowadays, sadly. And on that note about speed limits, I was driving the cart last night, in fact, and a car comes zooming down the street. I was trying to make a left-hand turn on the street and saw them coming and did not move, and they come zooming down. Guess who is on the street corner on the other side? 2 of St. Augustine's finest bike cops, and they took off. And they did. I saw them later, and they told me they did stop them and give them a ticket. Now, my first thought was, and I joked with them, how silly is that to be pulled over by a bike cop? But they did their job, and they did it well. Second, just because you're a pedestrian, it doesn't mean you can walk out anywhere you want in the middle of traffic and expect not to piss off the drivers, especially if you step out from between a couple of parked cars. Here's another one. Look both ways before you enter any street. We teach our children this, but damn, some of you parents must have forgotten that lesson, judging by observations I've made all month. If the lane you are going into through an intersection isn't clear on the other side of the intersection, don't cross. Because then you're stuck in the middle of the intersection. Now you're in the middle of that intersection when the light changes, and now the other traffic can't move because of your selfish dumbass. You're in the way, blocking both lanes of traffic. Parents, please watch your children. Yes, the lights are exciting, but your children need the chance to grow up and be brighter than the lights you see. Can't tell you how many children Santa almost hit last night or over the last couple of weeks. Bring back the leash. It's not cruel, it's safe. Learn to parallel park or just don't do it. Watched a guy make 6 attempts the other night with New York tags nonetheless. What the hell? This holds up all traffic big time while waiting for you to make a parallel park. And you're taking up not only the parking space and the lane, but everybody else is still stuck trying to get around you. Also, one more point on parking. Big ass trucks do not fit in small ass spots. In other words, know the size of your vehicle. Size does matter in this situation. Sidewalks are for walking. Roads are for driving. Just saying. Standing in the roadway to take a picture can get you hit. Not very good at your surroundings, acknowledging what you need. A roadway is not a loading zone. Sat through 3 light changes in one spot the other night while some idiot had 8 people all trying to get in his vehicle, holding up all lanes of traffic. Now, the first thing you may think of is Uber drivers. It was not an Uber driver. Look, if I wanted to see clowns going in and out of a car, I would go to the circus. On the same note, please decide who is sitting in which seat before you start this process. Once all the doors closed, the doors opened and everybody climbed back out, moving around to different seats. Vehicular fire drills. That just makes me realize that dumbasses run in the family. Loud music. Okay, I can accept Christmas music being the norm, but all other music needs to stop. It is not all about that bass when it comes to Christmas music. Just stop it already. 99% of the loud, inappropriate crap was guys at the wheel of POS vehicles. Why do you want people looking at you in a POS anyway? Damn. Also, playing your music that loud now in my book is the sounds of you bragging about your lack of manhood. Just saying. Here's another one. And yes, this has happened. If you are going to exit your vehicle and threaten Santa for your poor driving skills, give this a thought. You truly have no idea who might really be in this Santa attire. You might get your lump of coal early, handed to you quickly, and placed inappropriately. But on a positive note, if it's placed inappropriately, once you have that coal in place, just squeeze a little bit and maybe you'll have a diamond. People need to stop thinking that life revolves around them, their time, their car, and please leave your issues at home. Enjoy the spirit of the holidays and be a good example for everybody else by being a caring person for everyone else around you. Because the government coal might just become a gift held back for those special ones. And believe me, I have witnessed some special people lately. One more thing that I did not say in this one. If you are an Uber driver or whatever the other Lyft and whatever else, when you have people that you're picking up or depositing, the lane of traffic is not a loading zone. Have them meet you somewhere off the loading zone, off the street and into a loading zone. By stopping in the middle of traffic, you're holding up everybody. A lot of the traffic in St. Augustine might move a little smoother if people would stop doing some of these silly things. It was a headache and a half. On one of my tours as Santa last week, it took me 25 minutes to do a complete loop around the town square. 25 minutes. So, and all of it was because of people doing all these things that I've just told you. Our town is a small town, and the city council and the powers that be need to really start thinking about this for next year. I've seen a lot of almost fist fights. I've seen some name calling. I've seen people stop and get out of their cars. Road rage is real. Let's do something to stop it. And the first thing we can do to stop it is to be considerate and pay attention. On that, well, that's the captain's corner. Davey, did I get a lot of comments on that?
Nope.
All right, good. All right. On that note, ladies and gentlemen, our guest next week, or we're not sure yet. We're still trying to round up guests for the coming weeks. I do know that we have a guest on the 15th. Is it right, Davey?
15th, yes.
Our guest on the 15th will be a good friend of ours. His name is D. He is part of the Pirates of the St. Augustine Swashbucklers, but he is also a female impersonator. And we are going to have him be on the show and talk about his experiences as a performing female impersonator. He'll be sitting in that chair right there. Or I should say, she'll be sitting in that chair right there. It'll be an interesting show. He's already started advertising it, and we hope to pick up some other guests and followers watching the show. And let's find out a little bit more and open our minds and our hearts to the possibilities of all kinds of entertainment. It should be an interesting one. What should we name this segment? You know what wrecks my ship. I actually like that. You know what wrecks my ship? I think I like that one. With your permission, Will the Historian, I think we're going to use that. I like it. We'll play around with it a little bit and see how it feels. Let's see. I did get a message here that popped up. But we'll not worry about it right now. It will be for another time. Oh, no wonder I can't see anything. I was wondering why the screen was fuzzy. I didn't have my glasses in. All right. And joke of the week, the reveal. I am all ears, Davey. Bring Mini Mayhem back.
Okay, it's time for the answer to the joke of the week. What is a pirate's favorite detergent? The answer is Tide.
Oh, gosh. Will the Historian said it was either that or get off my lawn. I don't think lawn will fit with a pirate, so we'll stick that with, you know, what wrecks my ship. All right, so Tide. You know what? I should have known that. No wonder it was easy. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I've always said, when we have no guests and it's just us, we like to just pass on the information and relax and have a good time with our people watching. And we did not really expect there to be a whole lot of watchers. So those of you that watch tonight, we are honored to have you here. The work week starts, I'm sure, for most of us tomorrow. Please be safe. But we always like to do some thank yous. Now, we're getting ready to change our thank you video. But for now, we're going to do it a little different this time. Davey, we've got 4 panels. We've changed it, so go ahead. The Captain's Quarters podcast is indeed a ship, sailing the seas of the world, always in search of history, knowledge, and adventure. It takes a crew to run a ship, so we take this opportunity to thank those who help us keep this ship afloat.
The cast and crew: Captain William Mayhem, Navigator Davey Longwood, Gunner Hellfire Henry, Cartographer Mandy Joe, the Powder Monkey, and Juan Cam.
Helping others gives a crew purpose. Our treasured charities that we support: Inc., which is investing in kids; Alia's Acres, a no-kill animal rescue; Humane Society; and the cadets of the St. Johns County Fire Department. We help them all. These 4 major charities we support, but there's always room for more.
You too can be part of the crew and support our show in many ways. Go to Patreon. A small monthly contribution as Powder Monkey or First Mate memberships, or a single contribution. Go to YouTube, hit the like and follow buttons to join our ranks and support the show. It does take a crew. Thank you.
And those are our new panels for our new video. We just hadn't had a chance to put them to the music and the voice, so we thought we would just do it personally tonight. Show our platforms, Davey. There's our platforms. This is how you can watch us. Tonight, when the show downloads, it goes right to YouTube, Spotify, and Instagram. You can watch us on those 3. You can listen to us on Stitcher, iHeart, Castbox, Apple Podcast, or Music, Amazon. There are some other ways to watch our show live. If we have a guest, we're still learning this one, so don't quote me totally. But if we have a guest who has a platform of their own that's different from any of those, we can be live on their platform while they're on the show with us. We're still learning that one, but that opens us up to a whole lot more. So we're looking forward to learning that one too. A lot of new things are happening with the Captain's Quarters podcast. 2 years, and we've done really well. I think we missed our goal. This is where we show our numbers. I think we missed the goal. We're at 1476. I was hoping for 1500 by the first of the year. So we missed it by 24. Or in the words of the great immortal philosopher Maxwell Smart, missed it by that much. But our views, we have lots of views. We have several of our top videos, and that changes. I've noticed that our top videos seem to change on a regular basis. We're also learning how to do keywords so that when you now go to our library of shows, you can do a keyword if you're specifically interested in something. And if that show had anything to do with it, you'll be able to pop right in and see that show. So we're learning. Please bear with us as we do. How about, you know what makes my ship run ashore? Now I've got to do some more thinking. I
like that. You know what wrecks my ship.
I think I like that one too. Or you know what spoils my rum? Ladies and gentlemen, you can email us and we will do a much better job in the new year. This will be kind of a resolution. We'll be looking at our emails a little bit more regularly. If you've messaged us and we've missed it, we will be catching up with that and paying attention. Send us messages, send us emails. Let us know what you think. If you've got good words or something positive that would fit with the show, those emails will fit in the captain's corner. And we'd like to share your words with everybody else. So if you have good words to say, please join us. Let's see. Rumble, yes. Mr. Leon, I do believe that we'll be able to attach to Rumble in some cases too. So we're looking forward to that. We have a catchphrase. We have our podcast coins. We'd like to make sure everybody gets one for the new year. I'm trying to figure out how to do that with everybody, but we'll let you know. But upon that note, we're just a few minutes shy of a full hour. If you want to be a part of the show, ladies and gentlemen, you want to be a guest, or you have an idea for a guest, or you have a friend that would make a good guest, please let us know. We'll contact them. We'll do all the work to bring them in. The sheriff has already agreed to at least 3 shows for the year, maybe 4. I'm working on 5 different magicians to come and be a part of the show at some point in time. And maybe those magic shows that we do will be some of the ones for the after party or the after show. And we're still working on a title for that one too. On the Deck might be one, or After the Rum is Gone, which won't be true. So I don't know. We're still working on a title for that segment for the private shows that if you're a member, you get to be a part of. So your suggestions are where we like to take the show. And sometimes I have some thoughts and they're not always the best ones. So let's see what happens from everybody else.
Maybe Below Decks with Captain Mayhem.
Aye, Below Deck. That would be good. Aye, or in the captain's cabin. Aye. So we have to come up with some other things to add to it. We're also looking at trying to do things that will tighten up our lines of the show and make sure that things are smooth. We got some suggestions from YouTube. Our Mandy Joe has been in contact with YouTube, and they regularly send out suggestions. And I guess some of the things we do with the show, they think are wonderful. And they had a couple of other suggestions that I think would be easy to do and work. So we'll be trying to do what we can. We are a professional group. We're trying to be professional. But at the same time, I want to have fun. And I can't do that without having a good time with all the people that are here with us. So upon that note, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to say good night. I am going to get, believe it or not, a full night's worth of rest. And I have a couple of days to worry about other stressful things in the world. So Davey, kick her off.
Part of the podcast.
Part of the crew. Always, we appreciate you. We look forward to seeing you in the coming years and the coming months and the coming days. Good night.